The short weather window that makes climbing the Mount Everest possible is about to open, and already there's been 2 deaths on the same day. These casualties might foreshadow a very deadly season. Adding to the foreshadowing is that this year's window of climbing the Mount Everest is really short compared to the years before. So in today's video we're gonna look at what's going wrong on the Everest, why people are dying, and what the government and tour operators are doing to prevent this. On May 15, 2 climbers died in Mount Everest death zone. One collapsed while descending from the summit, while the other one died overnight at Camp 4 because he was too exhausted to move. Even the Sherpa tried to help him, stayed with him overnight, but couldn't save him. He still died. And these accidents aren't just isolated accidents. They are part of a dangerous game. And as I told you before, this year might mark the peak of casualties on the Mount Everest. This is because the good weather window is very tight. Even veteran climbers like Adrian Bollinger are sitting this year's climb out, because it's just too dangerous. But many others, especially young and unexperienced tour operators, are starting expeditions this summer. About 1000 climbers got a permit for this year to climb the Everest, and with 44 expeditions it will get extremely crowded. Some of the tour operators are very credible and are already working on ensuring the safety for all climbers. There is other tour operators that are just out for profit and that make the whole game very dangerous. Because even if only one group gets stuck, that means a whole lot of trouble for the rest of the groups. And this is why there should be regulations in place, like for example in Tibet. Because Tibet wants you to have climbed at least one 7000 meter peak before attempting the Mount Everest. Nepal? Not really. They don't care. They just want you to pay money and to go with the right tour operator, which is any tour operator that has a license in Nepal, and then you're good to go. And this difference is costing a lot of lives. But there are some expeditions that try to innovate and make things safer. Some teams are experimenting with xenon gas. This is a treatment that could allow climbers to acclimate faster while going up or down. There have been a bunch of tests with xenon gas and everything goes into the right direction, but there haven't been any field tests so far. And the big problem is the first test is gonna be this summer on Mount Everest, which a lot of critics don't really like. Because as I said, if one expedition fails on the way, especially in a bottleneck passage, there is no way for other climbers to pass. That puts the climbers that are on the same way in the same position, even though they may be prepared better. So it's not only that they endanger themselves, but everyone around them. A way better option for a safer climb are the one-on-one tours. That means that for one person there's a big team that helps him go up and down by carrying his stuff and having a lot of safety measures in place in case something goes wrong. This is actually how climbing on the Everest started, and back in the days it was only possible with one-on-one tours. Because everything has to be cheaper and more accessible, that's what happened also to Mount Everest tours. A ton of tour operators popped up out of nowhere and just offered cheaper tours for bigger groups. But how could they afford the cheaper tours? Because climbing the Everest didn't get cheaper, they just did the same climb they did before with one person with the same size of the team, but with 10 persons for example. So if something went wrong, there was not enough personnel, or there is not enough personnel, to bring somebody down from the Everest. This is why you hear stories about corpses being scattered all over Mount Everest. There's just too many people on the top during the season and not enough people to rescue all those people from the top if something goes wrong. The size of the teams are just too small, so while they have to carry the stuff for other people, they have to leave the corpses up there. So this change to cheap tours paved the way for unexperienced and money-greedy tour operators. And it's also those companies that produce 99% of casualties on the Mount Everest. The Everest isn't getting more forgiving, but with a minimum expedition size, the right training and proper preparation, maybe Mount Everest could be less of a mass grave and more of an expedition. Let's hope that this year's early casualties are not a sign for what is to come, and let's hope that the expeditions that try to make it safer succeed this year and make a change in the tourism industry in Nepal. Because there will always be people who want to climb the Mount Everest and have the money to pay for it, it will never really die out. And this is why it's even more important to regulate it and bring the people on the same page. Because, as said, you're not only responsible for yourself on Mount Everest, you're responsible for everybody around you. Let me know in the comments what you think about this topic and leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.